Hi everyone, Shalom to Derech podcast. My name is Noam and I'm the Israeli Shlicha here in Nashville, Tennessee. Derech is a journey in Hebrew, and we are here to listen and get inspired by people's stories and also get to know our amazing community. We have an amazing guest, Emma!
Hello.
Hi!
Applause. The crowd goes wild.
So Emma, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, Jewishly, I feel like it's important to start with I'm single. I know this is very important for Jewish mothers that listen to this podcast who have single sons, or Jewish grandmothers who have single grandsons. So, first and foremost, yes, I'm available. But I am new to Nashville. You know, I moved here last month in September, but I was born and raised in North Florida, where I lived my whole life. Went to school there, went to college there, and I was not born Jewish.
It's a great segue to the topic of our podcast today. And I was just telling Emma before that I've met people that went through the process of conversion, but I didn't get the chance to sit one-on-one and ask questions and feel comfortable to ask the questions. So you're here to help and to tell your story with conversion. But before that, let's tell everyone why is this day so special and how did we meet?
So Noam and I met doing leadership together.
Right.
In Jacksonville. So you came to me and I picked you up from the airport.
I know.
That's how we met.
And we had the best time in Jacksonville with everyone. And we became a close group with a partnership. And then I had a Zoom call, I think about a month ago, partnership related as well. And our beloved Chrissy said, "No, what complex are you leaving?" And I'm not going to say it here, but I just figured out on the Zoom that Emma moves to my complex, and I screamed in the middle of the call. I couldn't focus on anything else. I text her repeatedly every day pictures from our complex from the same view.
I feel honored.
I just moved here, please. And since then we became a quarantine bubble with Lital, the shlicha from the Hillel, and we going through this thing together. To go back to you, Emma, just tell us a little bit of a background, like your childhood. Take us back.
Back to the beginning. So like I said, I was born and raised in Northeast Florida. I never left. Even when I went away to college, it was still considered Northeast Florida. It was only about an hour away, but I come from a very small family. So I don't have a lot of cousins. I only have one sister. She's older than me. And so it was really just me and my parents and my sister, and that was it. Growing up, I've had a wild religious education because I was baptized Episcopalian.
Which, what does it mean?
So Episcopalian is a denomination of Christianity. It is very similar to Catholicism. In fact, a lot of people call it Catholic decaf because the beliefs and the structure of the service are very similar, but Episcopalians tend to be more liberal in their views, such as women can be priests, divorce is allowed, or at least not frowned upon, and a lot of many Episcopalian congregations are very welcoming of the LGBTQ community. So I was sent to Catholic school. So Monday through Friday, I had a very Catholic experience at school. Went to Mass every Friday, so I was at a religious service every Friday, and then Sunday, I was an Episcopalian.
Wow.
So it was interesting in that I was being taught one thing Monday through Friday, and then sort of in a way being taught another on Sunday.
How did it affect you as a child to hear those, like, I mean, the same values but different messages? Did it confuse you, or you just went with it?
Well, so here's the other curious thing. I actually think, at the time, I'm pretty sure it was confusing for me, because my mom sent me and my sister to Catholic school because she didn't want us to go to public school. I think she thought that some of the kids in public school were a little too rough and tumble for her precious angels. So she sent us to private school, and it happened to be Catholic. And very close to our home. That was another big plus. But I'll say this. So as far as Catholicism goes, if you are not Catholic, they do not permit you to take part in certain sacraments. So some of the hallmarks are taking communion during a service. Since I was not baptized Catholic, I was not allowed to do that. I had to stay in the pews and stay seated. I was not allowed to go to confession.
To feel like an outsider as a child is, I mean, and as an adult as well, is just so difficult. When was your first encounter with Judaism? Was it when you started working for Federation, or was other encounter?
It was actually in high school.
Really?
So I left Catholic school, which I stayed till 8th grade. So you're through middle school, you're like 14, 15, and you go to high school. I went to public high school. Wow, what a big... That was a huge adjustment for me.
Oh my God.
And two, I went to a really, really small Catholic school. When I graduated the 8th grade, there were 14 kids in the class. I go to high school and there's 250, 300 kids in my grade alone. So it was a huge shock for me. What I realized when I look back is that clearly I missed out on the bar mitzvah years. So if I'd been to public school for middle school, I could have gone to my classmates' bar mitzvahs probably and had an exposure earlier. Actually, I take that back. My first experience with Judaism was in the 8th grade in my religion class. So the teacher's aide for that particular class, she hosted a Passover experience for us, which I did not, I don't think we understood at the time what she was sharing with us, because she brought matzah
Really?
to class. And this was in the spring.
What is this? Where's the bread?
No, she also brought cream cheese, flavored cream cheese, so it was definitely cheating.
So from there, you went to a public high school. Tell us about this change and the experience there.
So I had, at the time that I was in high school, I had a few classmates that were Jewish. I had one who just, for luck of the draw, or the fact that his last name also began with the same letter as mine did, so we were in a lot of the same classes together. His name is Corey. I think I have a memory of him giving our English teacher a note at one time saying that he was going to be out of class, probably for Rosh Hashanah, if I think about it. And so that was my first exposure to an observant Jew.
This was a question that I wrote. How did Eva Grace started working for Federation?
And okay, so I obviously graduated high school. Yay, good for me. I went to college.
Good for you.
Thank you. I went to college. So then I was trying to move back home after I graduated because the city that I went to college in didn't have a lot of jobs unless you were working in tourism. And the Jewish Federation was the only place that would hire me. So the Jewish Federation was, in fact, my first job out of college. Real job, big girl office job.
And you worked there for how long?
7 years.
How was working for Federation? The beginning of...
The beginning of who I am now. Because obviously, played a huge role in who I am professionally because I didn't leave. So I like to sort of phrase it as drinking water from a fire hydrant. You have no choice to drink the water. It's coming at you with intense force. You can't really not do it because it's going to knock you over if you don't. So it was an immense learning curve. I really knew nothing practical about Judaism other than Corey Portnoy did not come to school for a few days in the fall one year in high school because he was observing Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. So I got hired for just like a very basic like receptionist administrative role, some part-time office management, some part-time event programming. And that is how I got to work with Jill Abel, who is...
We love her so much.
I love her more than life itself. I want to be her when I grow up. She at the time was the partnership coordinator for the Federation, just for Northeast Florida. Now, of course, she is the director of the Southeast Consortium. Well-deserved. She spent a lot of years and has put a lot of time and effort into it. But I think that was how I got hooked because Jill and I just clicked. Like, she was really great. I always enjoyed the work that I did for her. Because really it was, what I was thinking when I was going into it is that this is just an office job. I'm going to get some experience. I'm going to leave after 2 years.
Yeah. Federation is like, is that 10 p.m.? Okay, I have a few other emails and I'll just keep working. You are
all
the sake of the community.
So I just learned really quickly because you had to. You know, I was interfacing with the Jewish community in Jacksonville, which up to that point I didn't really know how big it was, and then I learned, hot damn, it's actually pretty big. So I had to learn really quickly about, you know, the difference between interacting with an Orthodox rabbi versus just someone who's unaffiliated or even Reform, and sort of those nuances within the community. I think I remember being told on my first day by one of the other administrative assistants, she just told me straight up, she was like, don't try to shake the hand of a Jewish man unless he offers it first. Because, you know, you don't know just by looking at someone, oh, they're Orthodox, oh, they're conservative. You just don't know. I've been to all 4 of the synagogues that are in Jacksonville. So we have 2 Reform, 1 conservative and 1 Orthodox. And I got pretty comfortable in all of them because we would sort of rotate hosting events and fundraisers at them to sort of bring the community together and try to get people who maybe only went to the conservative synagogue to come to the Reform one, you know, and vice versa.
Did you have any moments that you remember, oh, that's new information, or that's, I don't know, new information?
I can tell you that I have now memorized almost every single symbol for kosher.
Oh yeah,
on food
that's
labels.
A big one.
I think I had a sheet that was printed out that I just had to learn because I had to do a lot of shopping for events and for meetings, and it was very important to the Federation to, of course, make sure what we were serving was either dairy or parve.
How was the journey of wanting to convert, searching and learning about conversion, or did you have like a feeling, or how did it started?
So this might be a long answer and a very very deep one, because obviously this is a very serious topic. I will share with you that you know, my mother is very close with her religion, with her Christianity, and I, growing up, maybe because I had 2 separate versions of it, it didn't connect with me. I didn't feel connected to the faith. I always have felt connected to the space. I still love being inside of a church. I still feel very at home there. And just sort of, you know, going through that teenage rebellion phase. I think the more my mother really pushed for us to keep going to church, the more, and I'll include my sister in this, the more she and I really resisted it. And I think just going through life and some of the other experiences I had, I just thought, this isn't for me. At least in the sense of going to Christian services. I believed that there was something bigger than me out there in the universe. I didn't know what it was. But I felt, and I did share this with my mom at one time. I said, I don't believe that I should have to sing and hold hands with other people just to prove that I believe in something. Like, I don't want that to be my experience.
Wow. How did she react?
My mother, I love my mother. She's the best person I know. She really does try to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
I think it does make her a little sad that my sister and I do not share her faith. Because she spent a lot of time investing in us.
It's very difficult. I appreciate your mom so much, and Emma just showed me a card that she sent her, and on the card she has a cat that looks like Trudy. This is really difficult. Religious is like, it's a way of life in a sense.
I waited for a while to tell my parents, not because I thought that they were going to be angry or upset or say like, get out of my house. Like, that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
I have watched my mom just always try her hardest to be more open-minded, to learn more, to try to find strength in her own faith, but to also learn about other people's perspectives. And, that is the greatest gift she could have ever given me. So maybe I didn't turn out the way she would have preferred, but, the fact that she is so open, and she gave me a good foundation. Christian values are not, just Christian values. They're pretty universal. Be nice to your neighbor. Like, don't be a crappy person. Share your crayons. I'm teasing, but it's like, she gave me a good moral foundation, and guideposts for life, for how to be a good and virtuous person. And though I did not choose her particular avenue,
yeah, I
think she finds comfort that there is something out there for me that I do connect to. So I'm grateful for her.
Tell us a little bit about the process.
Oh boy. 3 years ago, I came to Nashville for the first time. My first journey with leadership together, and I met Christy, who was also a convert.
Oh,
now,
we love Christy.
We love Christy. Christy is unique in the same way that I am, in that we did not choose to convert for a romantic partner. We did it totally on our own.
And to say another great thing about wonderful Christy, that we were on the plane to Jacksonville, and at the airport, on the plane, or the line to Starbucks, I kept asking her questions about her life and her conversion and her journey. And yeah, so we love you, Christy.
We love you, Christy. Which isn't to say, like, I don't want to say, like, that the only reason that anyone in the Jewish diaspora converts is because they're getting married or because they anticipate getting married. I think that is too large of a generalization, but more often than not, that is the case. So I had my big aha moment in Israel, as I like to call it, my moment of discovery. So when we were going north to sort of end our trip in our partnership region in Hadera and Pardes Hana, we stopped at a kibbutz, a farm on a kibbutz, and one of our activities was cutting down, like invading vines and trees in like an olive grove. So after we finished our manual labor, we put the hacksaws away, and we did probably the most Jewish thing you could do, which is we cooked a big meal together. And we had a big bonfire, and we had a really nice, just relaxing evening. So we'd done all this work, then we all like pitched in and we made dinner together. And at one point I sort of left the group for a little bit, and I walked a little bit out into the field just to be by myself for a minute. And it was as magical as you can imagine it. Like, the sun was setting, it was beautiful. We had done something meaningful where we had done work with our hands in such a, for Jews, a holy space, the land of Israel, like, it's so meaningful.
You went through a lot physically and mentally.
But yeah, the sun was setting, and I just sort of looked up at the sky, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is the best I felt about, like, myself as a person, the best I felt about being in a community. And so I just said, I hear you, I get it. Like, this is the universe telling me this is where you're meant to be. This
is incredible, and I'm so happy you had this, like, beautiful scenario to remember it forever, that you had the aha moment of, like, I'm doing this. How did people react? Like, your close group of friends, or people in general, people from Federation, or even your family? And how did you deal with it? It's a big question.
It's a big question. Yeah, I knew the seriousness of what I was committing to taking on. So when I first came home, I sort of sat with the decision for like 2 weeks, just to make sure that I didn't, back out or say, no, just kidding. It was just such a, an emotional time being there, and that's why I said I was going to do it. I wanted to be sure. So I think probably the first person I shared it with was our shaliach at the time, Rotem. And he is just far and away one of the absolute sweetest people on the face of the earth.
He's so awesome.
And he told me that he would come with me to speak to the rabbi. And so that was also very important to me. So he was there, like, when I went to go speak to the rabbi. I decided that I did want to convert Reform. Mm-hmm. And at the time, we had just gotten a new Reform rabbi. I didn't really know her that well, but Rotem had done several events with her, which is why he said he'd come with me. And so that was sort of phase one. Phase one was checking in with the rabbi to see how complicated this was going to be. Then phase two was sort of telling my close friends, who pretty much all of them said, yeah, that makes sense. Like, we see that for you. Like, it was nothing but positivity, or,
yeah,
you haven't already converted. I don't understand. Like, they were so used to me, like, being in a Jewish space. It just was like, Emma already is Jewish. So, a lot of positive responses there. And so after I had my initial conversation with the rabbi, it was then that I slowly started to tell people at work and in the community. I really wanted to be in control of the narrative. I wanted to tell people slowly and deliberately. I didn't want to, like, tell one person and then one person tells another, and then it spreads that way. I remember I told my friend and coworker at the time, Faye Hedrick, we were in a grocery store getting something for an event, and that's when I told her, and she stopped me in the middle of the grocery store and kissed me on the cheek like she was gonna cry.
I miss Faye too. Jacksonville.
Faye is just wonderful. So I think I have had a very unique experience in that I received so much overwhelming support and positivity. Like, I won't say no one. Only a few people had anything to say that sort of made me feel negatively about it, or sort of made me pause, I guess. But these were not people who I would consider close friends. They just happened to be people within the community who heard and whatever, had their opinion about what I was doing and the way I was doing it.
But I'm happy most of the responses were great and supportive, because this is what you deserve. And no matter what decision you make, you need to have a supportive environment.
My dad and I, to this day, have yet to have a conversation about it, which is something that makes me a little sad. My dad is not as open as my mom, and he and I are not as close as me and my mom, even though I love him and respect him. He is the best man on earth, and not just because he saved me every time I had a flat tire. He is someone that I truly love and respect, but I think that he and I just don't have that kind of relationship. So I never told him directly. My mother told him on my behalf, and he and I have never had a conversation about it. So actually, other than him, I only had... I had moments privately where, just because I was maybe feeling insecure or whatever, and I did have a moment where I thought to myself, oh my God, am I only doing this because I want people to like me? You know, I had such a great time in Israel, and a lot of the activities we did, I was volunteered for them. And in a really weird way, I felt popular. Something I never was in Catholic school or high school. And so I had a very...
You felt a part of the group.
I felt part of the group. I felt like... this is going to sound like... I mean, I say it's going to sound dumb, but I'm sure we've all had moments like this. But
we all...
It was so nice to feel like people really liked me for me. And so... I got a little self-conscious and anxious about converting because I thought, am I only doing this because I want these same people to like me? Did I only say I was going to do it because I felt the emotional pressure to maintain this high of like people liking me for me? And then it's like, is it going to go away if I don't do it?
That's what we all seek in life. We seek for love and acceptance, and
it
makes a lot of sense.
Us.
But the fact that you are aware of that means that your decision made because that was in your core and you really felt that.
Absolutely.
And people should be, you should feel accepted no matter what your religious are and no matter where you're from, because you're such an awesome person. So you moved to Nashville how long ago?
I guess in a few weeks it'll be 2 whole months. I moved here in the middle of September.
Oh my God. It feels like you've been here forever.
I know. Because I visited so many times.
And I hope everyone in the community will get to know Emma because she's such an awesome human being. But how are you today? How you feel now? How's Nashville? How is getting to know the Nashville community?
I'm doing great. I picked Nashville for a lot of reasons. Number one, I was sick of the heat. Number two is, obviously...
I feel like a lot of people are going to say, Nashville is hot as well.
It's really not if you're from Florida. It's actually really nice here. Leave the state once in a while.
I mean, I'm from Israel. We all experience heat.
And then you have Jacob Kupin, who's a New Yorker, and is like, oh, it's so hot here.
Kidding,
I've
Jacob. We love Jacob.
Yeah, everyone's tolerance for weather is different. So I think it was very obvious that I chose Nashville for a lot of reasons. In my travels professionally and just for fun, like I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people in the community. And also I've gotten to, just by happenstance, attend services here, pre-COVID. So it made the most sense because I'd experienced so much here. And I knew that I wanted to, number one, leave Florida. Just for one, just have the experience of living somewhere else. And number two, it was important to me to have a Jewish community. So that meant I was moving somewhere within the Southeast Partnership.
Yeah.
Being a new Jew in COVID times is interesting.
Tell me more.
COVID came, and so it was an issue of, some things needed to happen. I needed to go to the mikveh. Which, was closed because of COVID. So, what do? I offered, I was like, I will hop in a pool. I will sit in a jacuzzi. I will go stand in someone's shower. Like, I don't really know. I will get the garden hose and spray it on me. Like, let's, I'm very flexible.
It's because it's just safe.
So there is a part of me, honestly, that's very sad that I didn't get the traditional mikveh experience.
But you will get.
But I will someday. So part of it was just logistically complicated. I was moving on from my position at Federation, and we were also trying to incorporate another girl from my initial conversion class who was a student and had to split her time between Florida and another state. So there was a lot of parts moving.
Yeah.
But like, by the grace of God, it all came together really, truly at the last minute. So my conversion happened 4th of July weekend. My mikveh experience was in the ocean. That is what we decided to use. So I feel really lucky because it all came. It was feeling like
when was the date?
So I had my mikveh experience on a Sunday, so it was actually the day after 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
So now that date has super meaning.
Super meaning. Love that.
So that weekend's just going to be special for so many reasons. So I it was feeling very like crazy and hopeless for a long time, and then, like I said, at the last minute, it all came together. I got to go through my entire conversion journey with my friend Abby, the student, which was just truly special because, again, she was like me. She was converting for her own personal reasons. It was not related to, a spouse or anything like that. So we were coming from a very similar space emotionally, and spiritually. And so we like raced out to the beach because when I lived in Florida, I lived like 45 minutes away from the beach. So we like drove out there. We sort of sat in the car for a minute because it was storming. And then there was like a blessed 15 minutes of peace. And we like got out of the car, walked down to the beach, and Canterbury was like, get in the water, we're doing this. Like we got to do this before the lightning comes again. And so yes, it was a little quick and maybe a little rushed, but it was still just sort of exhilarating and fun at the same time. And so we had our mikveh experience in the ocean. And then the next day we were very lucky to have a service in the sanctuary at the synagogue. So it was myself, it was Canterbury, and Abby, and then Jill was there in the sanctuary. And my Shabbabi, whom I have told you about previously, my Shabbat Bubby, Isabel, was also there in person. And everybody else was there on Zoom. So, we really did try to make the best of it with social distancing rules. And that was really it. Abby and I spent a long time trying to choose our Hebrew names.
Oh.
So I still need my certificate. I have not gotten my certificate of conversion. I have a copy of it somewhere. It used to be on my fridge in Florida. But it has our Hebrew name written on there.
I'll forgive you if it's not Noam.
It's not. It is. You're going to cry. You're all going to cry, just to be clear. I was really beating myself up about like finding a Hebrew name that was like brand new to me to symbolize a new life. And then I was like, Emma, you're being dumb. I picked the name Johanna, which can translate to Joanne or Joanna. And Joanne is my grandmother's name. It's also my mother's middle name.
Oh.
And so choosing that name.
That's so special.
Choosing that name was a way for me to, number one, Judaism is a matrilineal religion.
That made me emotional a little bit.
I wanted to bring the women who had raised me and honor them into my Jewish life. And also it sort of helps make me feel legitimate by choosing that name. And I really just wanted, it was like a way for me to just truly honor my mom and all that she's given me. Because having her support has been, and her interest, like support is one thing. You can say, good job, Noam, I support you. But to have someone be interested in the thing that they're supporting you with or for means 10 times more than just the generic, pat on the back, you go girl. My mom came to Shabbat services with me before COVID. Like, she has been very committed in participating in my Jewish life, in learning more about it. And choosing that name was like a way to give her a permanent stake in who I am and who I'm going to be.
On so many levels. And I think it's the perfect way to end this incredible podcast. I love this. And I ask for everybody that come as a guest to the podcast, if you have any podcasts that you would love to recommend.
Yes, so I have 3. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Because I love all of these. So the first one is pretty popular. It's called Armchair Expert. It's with the actor Dax Shepard. And I also like a podcast called Family Ghosts. And then, of course, if you're not listening to Malcolm Gladwell on podcasts, are you even a podcaster? So Revisionist History for the win. My favorite podcast of all time.
I just wanted to tell you, Emma, that you are one of the most wonderful people in my life. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life and you are my neighbor and you'll be my soul sister forever.
For life.
Yeah, it's for life. And to share this story and journey, it's not easy. But I'm saying in the name of everybody who listen that thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because it's not an easy journey. So it was very informative and I loved having you here.
Thank you for having me as a guest. It really does mean a lot to me. I know I'm saying it in a weird voice, but that's just to cover up my emotions.
And thank you for joining us on the Derech podcast. And we will see you at the next episode. Bye.